The Galactic Council chamber hummed with the low-frequency communications of a dozen species, each more ancient and supposedly more advanced than the last. At the center of the crystalline amphitheater, Ambassador Zethkar of the Hegemony activated the holographic display with a dismissive gesture of his four-clawed appendage. The species designation human appears before us today. Zethkar's voice resonated through the translator matrices, carrying undertones of barely concealed contempt. A bipedal carbon-based life form from the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star. They have achieved primitive spaceflight and have requested— He paused for what might have been dramatic effect. Membership in our council. A ripple of what could only be described as amusement passed through the assembled representatives. The Veltar Collective's bioluminescent patches flickered in synchronized patterns that indicated derision. The ancient Korthak delegates, whose species had mastered faster-than-light travel when humans were still discovering fire, released pheromones that their translator interpreted as highly amusing. Their technology is laughably primitive, continued Zethkar, manipulating the hologram to show crude human spacecraft, metal cylinders propelled by controlled explosions. They still use chemical propulsion for the majority of their vessels. Their weapon systems are kinetic-based projectiles and fusion warheads. Their greatest achievement is establishing a few scattered colonies in their home system. Ambassador Thys of the Ethereal Dominion, her translucent form shimmering like heat waves, spoke in harmonics that made the chamber's walls vibrate. Have they demonstrated any unique capabilities? Any reason we should consider them anything more than another primitive species requesting protection? Zethkar's display shifted to show recordings of human behavior. Wars, conflicts, their seemingly endless capacity for violence against their own kind. They are a violent, chaotic species. Constant warfare among themselves. No unified government. They cannot even achieve peace on their homeworld. Yet they believe themselves worthy of joining civilizations that have maintained harmony for millennia. The Council's decision was swift and unanimous. The humans would be classified as a primitive species, granted basic protection under galactic accords, but denied any meaningful participation in galactic affairs. They would be watched, perhaps guided when necessary, but certainly not considered equals. That was their first mistake. 3 standard galactic years later, the monitoring station orbiting the human homeworld detected unusual activity. Commander Vexthul of the Hegemony Navy reviewed the reports with growing concern. The humans had somehow accelerated their technological development at an impossible rate. Sir, his aide reported, they've established 17 new colonies in the past year alone. Their ship designs have completely changed. We're detecting energy signatures we don't recognize. Vexthul examined the data streams. The primitive chemical rockets had been replaced by vessels that moved with unprecedented speed and agility. But more disturbing were the energy readings, power outputs that approached hegemony military specifications. Impossible, he muttered. They're barely past the Stone Age in galactic terms. The aide's bio-readings indicated stress. Sir, there's more. Our passive scans suggest they've reverse-engineered several technologies from the gifts the Council provided. But they've improved them. Improved them? That's ridiculous. Those were simplified versions of 1,000-year-old hegemony designs. Yes, sir, but their modifications show efficiencies we hadn't considered. They've made our technology better. The Korthak Empire made the second mistake. When humans attempted to establish a colony in the disputed Rigel sector, the Empire's patrol fleet moved to intercept. It was meant to be a simple demonstration of superior force. 3 heavy cruisers against a handful of human transport vessels. Fleet Admiral Korthak personally led the mission, expecting to intimidate the humans into retreat with minimal effort. His ships decloaked at the edge of the system, weapons powered but not targeted, a show of force, nothing more. The human response shattered every assumption about primitive species behavior. Instead of fleeing, the transport ships transformed. What had appeared to be civilian vessels suddenly deployed weapon systems that defied classification. The lead human ship, broadcasting on standard diplomatic frequencies, delivered a message that made Korthak's blood run cold. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Determination. You are interfering with lawful colonization efforts in unclaimed space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Korthak almost laughed. Almost. But the energy readings from the human vessels were climbing beyond anything his sensors had recorded. Human vessel, you are outgunned and outclassed. Surrender now and—" His words died as the human ships opened fire. The weapons weren't kinetic projectiles or fusion warheads. They were something new, something that caused space itself to ripple and bend. The first salvo passed through his flagship's shields as if they weren't there, carving through armor that had withstood the fire of dreadnoughts. Within minutes, 3 Korthak heavy cruisers, each one a masterpiece of engineering that had taken decades to construct, were drifting hulks. The humans had disabled them with surgical precision, leaving the crews alive but the ships completely powerless. "How?" Korthak whispered into the silence of his dead ship. Captain Chen's voice crackled through the comm. "Admiral, my species learned something long ago that yours apparently forgot. The most dangerous opponent is the one you underestimate. Our ships will assist with rescue operations. Please stand by." The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any in recorded history. Representatives who had maintained composure for centuries showed signs of what humans might call panic. The holographic displays showed the aftermath of what was being called the Rigel incident. Korthak vessels, technological marvels of the galaxy's most advanced military, reduced to scrap by ships that had been dismissed as primitive just years before. How did they do it? Ambassador Thys demanded, her ethereal form flickering with agitation. Their technology was centuries behind ours. Zethkar manipulated the tactical recordings, slowing them down, analyzing every frame. "They didn't just reverse engineer our technology," he said slowly. "They understood it better than we do. Then they made it better." "That's impossible," protested the Veltar Collective. "We've had millennia to perfect these systems." And in that time, a new voice interrupted, "You became complacent." Every head in the chamber turned toward the speaker. Standing at the entry to the council chamber was a human, the first ever to set foot in this sacred space. She was unremarkable by galactic standards, bipedal, carbon-based, no obvious physical enhancements. But the datapad in her hand contained readings that had terrified military analysts across 3 sectors. "I'm Admiral Elena Vasquez," she said, walking calmly toward the center of the chamber. "I'm here to discuss humanity's application for council membership. Again." Zethkar found his voice first. "You attacked a Korthak fleet. You violated—" "We defended ourselves in unclaimed space against an unprovoked attack," Vasquez interrupted. "According to Galactic Accord 774, we acted within our rights. But that's not why I'm here." She activated her datapad, and the chamber's displays filled with new information. Ship designs, technological specifications, and most chilling of all, fleet numbers. "In the 3 years since you declared us primitive, humanity has built over 2,000 vessels using our improved versions of your technology. We've established colonies in 47 systems, and we've learned something about our galactic neighbors that you might find interesting." The display shifted to show intelligence reports, detailed analyses of every major galactic power's military capabilities, trade routes, and political structures. "You see," Vasquez continued, "humans have a saying, know your enemy. But we prefer a different one, know your neighbors. We've been watching, learning, adapting. And we've discovered that your great galactic civilizations have grown soft." The chamber erupted in protests, but Vasquez's voice cut through the noise. "You've had peace for so long you've forgotten how to fight. Your technology has stagnated because you've had no real challenges. Your militaries exist more for show than function." Zethkar's claws clicked nervously against his console. "What are you proposing?" "Nothing," Vasquez said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "We're not proposing. We're informing. Humanity is claiming its place in the galaxy. We're establishing trade routes, colonizing systems, and building alliances with species you've ignored because they weren't advanced enough for your council." The display showed a growing network, dozens of younger species, all making rapid technological advances with human assistance. "We're not asking for permission anymore," Vasquez concluded. "We're offering partnership. The galaxy is changing, and you can either change with it or be left behind." In the silence that followed, each council member contemplated the same terrible realization. They had created their own obsolescence by underestimating the very qualities that made humans dangerous. Their adaptability, their refusal to accept limitations, and their unique talent for turning disadvantages into advantages.